Imagine sitting in a classroom as a kid and just for a few minutes navigating the room in a wheelchair or finding your way across the room blindfolded using only a white cane and someone's voice to guide you. That's what A Touch of Understanding has been doing in schools across Northern California for the past 30 years, helping kids understand what it's like to be someone different from themselves. They're here to tell us about their work and about a milestone event coming up. Let's welcome their executive director. We have Megan Adamski. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, okay, so 30 years going strong for A Touch of Understanding. I'm curious to know, what was the original idea behind it?
The idea, our founder Leslie Dodora, she and her father Ed Ennis started with the idea that students, children deserve to understand challenges that their peers may face. And that came from her own lived experience of having an aunt who had intellectual disabilities. And as a young child, Leslie inadvertently mistreated her aunt just because she didn't understand.
Yeah.
As soon as her mom explained her aunt's challenges, she was able to befriend her aunt. They became very close, but it was that level of education. And then she was working as an instructional aide and had this idea to start this program, and that teacher in that classroom said, why don't you start it here? So that was many years ago, over 30 years ago, and it's grown to 10 counties throughout Northern California.
Yeah, that's what I love hearing. It took root in Placer County and it's spread since then, and it's great to hear that the founder was kind of a personal experience that she understood, knowing a family member and wanting to make sure that other people understood that. So for parents who are watching who have never seen one of your workshops, walk us through what a school day with A Touch of Understanding actually looks like.
So we show up on a school campus, we've got a big trailer and we unload wheelchairs and white mobility canes and orthotics and prosthetics, and we set up in a couple different classrooms. And then we're working with a single grade level at a time. So that grade level is broken into two halves. Half start in one area of our program while the other half starts with our hands-on activities, and in that portion they get to use wheelchairs. Students get to use wheelchairs, walk with their eyes closed using a white cane. They write their name in Braille, and they learn about learning differences. And then the other half of the program is we have a couple of volunteer speakers who have disabilities, and they share their story very openly and honestly and provide a place to ask questions. And then also in that portion, students learn about autism and orthotics and prosthetics.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful thing, to expose students to differences so they can just have a better understanding of things, of people who are different. And I understand you have a very big event coming up on April 23rd, the Event of Insight. What should people expect when they come out?
Yes, so Evening of Insight is really going to celebrate the milestone of 30 years and honoring our history and our founding. We have a young man who is an artist. He's done some work with Disney, but he grew up in our program and he was one of our volunteer speakers for many years. So he's going to do some live art, but also we've got about 20 different silent auction items, some incredible live auction items, including trip to Bali and ring from Sharif Jewelers worth $1,500. I mean, just really incredible auction items. A high-end dessert auction. So it's a really fun event celebrating this milestone.
Yeah, and a fun event, like you mentioned, big prizes that people can win while it all supports A Touch of Understanding.
Exactly. Yes.
And then after all these years, is there a moment, Megan, a student, a story, something you witnessed in a workshop that still stays with you?
So much of our workshop, we do talk about disabilities, but really students are able to translate that to differences of all kinds. And we often open a workshop talking about strengths and challenges and may ask students if they want to share something that may be hard for them. And oftentimes we'll get things like, math is hard for me, or I'm not very good at sports, or my dog died. And we were at one workshop and one little girl raised her hand and she said, what's hard for me is my parents are getting a divorce. And I thanked her for sharing. And then I looked around the room, I said, does anybody else have a family affected by divorce? And many hands went up. And I looked at that little girl, I said, look at all those hands, you're not alone. In that moment, she exhaled and she said, finally, I'm not alone. And that sense of de-isolation, oftentimes children especially feel so alone in whatever it is they're struggling with, that to provide a space that they realize they're not alone, that there are others who have similar challenges, or even if challenges are different, we can understand one another and befriend one another and have compassion, understanding, and acceptance when people are going through some hard times.
Yeah, I love that you did that for that student in that moment, so she realized, like you said, I'm not alone. And it sounds like that's what all A Touch of Understanding is about, creating that understanding, creating a community. So thank you for all that you do at A Touch of Understanding.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to let our viewers know where they can go for more information to find out more about A Touch of Understanding. And to get tickets for their Evening of Insight on April 23rd, visit touchofunderstanding.org.